my beautiful lovelies, it's Emmy. How are you? It's great to see you and welcome back. Today's video is sponsored by Helix Sleep. Helix Sleep are the makers of premium mattresses that are customized to suit your needs and delivered conveniently right to your door. We've had our Helix Sleep mattress now for a couple of years and we are getting terrific sleep. We found the perfect mattress using the Helix Sleep quiz and we entered our sleeping preferences. For example, I happen to be a side sleeper, I prefer a firmer style mattress, and I share my bed with my husband. My husband also took the quiz and the quiz came up with a perfect compromise and we matched with the Helix Sleep Dusk Luxe. We have been getting terrific sleep, our backs feel supported, we wake up feeling well rested, and at this point my entire family has a Helix Sleep mattress and they are getting great sleep as well. All Helix mattresses are fiberglass free, and if you live in the US, shipping is free. We also have extended family and friends that have Helix Sleep mattresses and they're reporting getting great sleep as well. We were super happy with our Helix Sleep mattress, especially if you look at our old one, which we inherited, and while it served us well, it was definitely time to be replaced. Another thing I really like about our mattress is that it arrived rolled up in a cardboard box, which made it very convenient to get up our narrow flight of stairs, and I was able to install the mattress myself. Helix lineup includes 20 unique mattresses, including the Helix Luxe line, the Ultra Premium Elite line, Helix Plus for big and tall sleepers, and Helix Kids. All Helix Sleep mattresses come with a 100-night sleep trial to make sure you love it. There are also flexible payment plans and financing options. So if you're looking for a new bed, click the link down below or head over to helixsleep.com/emmymade to receive 20% off the Helix mattress of your choice, along with 2 free pillows. Big thanks to Helix Sleep for sponsoring this video and for their continued support so I can make better videos for all of you. Alrighty, my lovelies, today we are going to be making a holiday themed cheesecake that was inspired by another holiday. I first saw this recipe for a Halloween themed cheesecake, but I could not find the correct cookies. The recipe originally comes from the Squeaky Mixer, and they use Pillsbury pre-made sugar cookie dough with a pumpkin to make this cheesecake. But in October, for the life of me, I could not find them. But in December, I found these ones, and these have little Christmas trees on them. There are also snowmen and reindeer as well. So we're going to be using these pre-made cookie dough rounds to make the base of our cheesecake, and then we're going to put some pre-baked cookies on the top as decoration. Looks pretty straightforward, but I've never purchased these before, nor have I ever tasted the Pillsbury pre-cooked cookies before. So let's go ahead and get started. So there is some baking involved to make this crust, but the filling for this cheesecake is a no-bake recipe, so we don't have to worry about any cracking of our cheesecake. And if you love cheesecake, you might want to check out my cheesecake playlist. I have so many cheesecake recipes, down to 1-bite cheesecakes, 5-minute cheesecakes, cheese flavored cheesecakes, cheesecakes that look like cheese, lots of cheesecake recipes. Please check out the playlist if you're interested, and also please consider subscribing if you're not subbed already. So I've got myself an 8.5-inch springform pan. The recipe calls for an 8-inch, but this is what I've got. So it's a 1/2 inch bigger. I'm using a springform pan, which has a little lock on the side, a latch, that allows us later to remove the perimeter to extricate our cheesecake. That's the plan, at least. So I'm going to oil this up a bit to help us with that unmolding process. And behind me, my oven is preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So let's open up these and see what they look like. These were on sale at my local supermarket for $3.99. And it says 20 cookies. So it's a lot of cookies in this box. See what they look like. Look at that manufactured machine perfection. And they are tiny. I know shrinkflation is real. You just have to buy a carton of orange juice to know what I'm talking about, which was once 64 ounces, is now, I believe, down to 52 ounces. My 10-year-old child observed this while having breakfast, and he says, listen, the price is the same, but you've lost 12 ounces of juice. Anyways, here are the cookies, and on camera they look pretty big, but here's a quarter by comparison. So not quite the size of a quarter, I'd say $0.50, but pretty small. So now we are going to arrange these at the bottom of our pan. Now this will get covered up with our cheesecake, but the point is that we're making a sugar cookie base that doesn't require any making. I hope I have enough cookies. Oh my goodness. And then we're going to pop this into a 350-degree oven and bake it from 10 to 12 minutes until the cookies are just golden around the edges. So 40 cookies total, and we're going to save 8 cookies for decoration on the top. So keep going with these. There's something so wonderful about the uniformity of this. So for the corners that don't fit a whole cookie, we can cut these down. So once we have these baked, we want them to be completely cool before we add our filling. And then we're going to make our filling, and then we have to let it cool even longer for everything to set. Very satisfying. Look at that. Ooh la la. Alrighty, my lovelies, I will see you in a little bit after everything is nice and baked. Alrighty, my lovelies, the crust is complete, and now it is time to make the no-bake filling. First, we're going to use a large bowl and beat up some heavy cream to soft peaks. I've got some cold whipping cream here, and we're going to beat that on medium-high speed until we get soft peaks, which is about the consistency of Cool Whip. It should take about 3 to 4 minutes. It's very easy to over whip this into butter, and it'll be really grainy, so we don't want to do that. We are getting pretty close. Scraping down the sides to get any that I missed. Look at that. Beautiful. So this is going to lighten our cheesecake. Cheesecake is mostly cream cheese, so very, very dense and rich. And this is also rich, but this, because we've added a ton of air to it, will lighten things up texturally. Ooh, so beautiful. Look at that. We're going to set this aside momentarily, and now we're going to beat the cheese. This is 24 ounces or 3 8-ounce blocks of cream cheese that I let sit at room temperature, so it'll be much easier to mix. And that's really important because we don't want a lumpy cheesecake. So we're going to cream this first, and then we're going to add our additions, which is mostly sweetener. Alrighty, let's whip this up. So this step, we're just breaking the cream cheese down so that it's smooth, and it's essential that it be at room temperature. Never fails. Gotta get some stuff all over the place. Never fails. All right, so I'm gonna get a bigger spatula and get the edges down, and this is looking pretty good. Nice and smooth. Thick, but smooth. Because my bowl is too small, I'm going to do a little swap here. It'll make things a lot easier. Okay. So cream cheese is now going into the whipped cream bowl, so I have more room to maneuver. Now that we have our cream cheese, we're going to add some powdered sugar and incorporate that, along with some granulated sugar, which we will incorporate slowly because we want it to actually get combined in there and dissolve. Powdered sugar, no problem, because it's powdered. Pause to scrape down the sides. Okay. Right, next, we're gonna add a little bit of sour cream, which I think is a great addition. A little bit of tang to kind of heighten the tang that already exists in the cream cheese. So sour cream is really nice in a cheesecake, in my opinion. And along with that, a little bit of fresh lemon juice. Again, another punch of tang. So here we go. And finally, a couple teaspoons of vanilla. Measuring spoon for 2 teaspoons. Love that. Yes. I think this is one of those situations where electricity and using an electric tool is really helpful. Doing this by hand, I think, would be really challenging, especially in the beginning when you're trying to smooth out the cream cheese. Even when it's at room temperature, it's just so heavy and thick. So, yay to power tools. Before we add the whipped cream, I'm going to give it a final kind of scrape down and stir to make sure we get everything from the sides and on the bottom. but look how smooth it is. Isn't that beautiful? It's luscious. Now we're going to add that whipped cream that we whipped earlier. I'm going to do it in a couple additions and just kind of fold it in. The initial addition is going to be kind of to loosen the cream cheese. And then the second addition I'll do a little with a lighter hand. Okay, so still pretty thick. Now, last little bit of our whipped cream. This is not a souffle or a jiggly cake or a castella cake where retaining as much of the aeration is really important. We do want to keep it kind of light, so I'm trying to use a gentle hand, but at the same time, this is a cheesecake, which is dense. So just want to make sure that the whipped cream is completely worked in. All right, I think we're good. Alrighty, returned with our pre-baked cookie base. All our Christmas trees are in order, lined, and perfectly cool. Don't want this to be hot, otherwise it'll melt our filling. So now it is time to fill our cheesecake. Kind of disperse it in scoops so that it'll make leveling a little easier. Scrape all this precious stuff into our pan. Now we're going to smooth this around so it's nice and smooth. And then we're going to place this in the refrigerator to chill for at least 3 hours, if not overnight. The instructions say if you're in a hurry, you can place it in the freezer for 2 hours to get it to set up. Basically, we are returning the cream cheese back to its more solid state. And therefore we'll have a more firmer cheesecake, which will be easier to slice. To make this extra smooth, I'm going to take the time to go around with my offset spatula to get a nice smooth surface. We are going to be decorating the top with some cookies, so this is not essential, but if you've got the tool, why not? Look how smooth. Ooh, yeah. That's the right tool, the offset spatula. All right, into the refrigerator to cool before we top it and decorate it and then give it a taste. Alrighty, see you in a little bit. Alrighty, my lovelies, I am back. It's been a full 24 hours since I placed my cheesecake into the refrigerator, and now it is time to unmold it. Alrighty. Ooh, there it is. It looks exactly the same as it did when we placed it in there, but it should be much more firm after this cooling period. So this is the beautiful thing about a springform pan. It allows the pan to widen so that we can extricate our cheesecake. I'm using a very thin, flexible spatula to go around the perimeter. Now we should be able to lift this up. Okay, there we go. What is possible? Okay, yes! Yes, 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 yes. Alrighty. There it is. We look pretty good around the edges. I'm going to smooth anything that's not perfect down. Dun, 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 dun. You can see the cookie peeping around the edges. So I just whipped up some whipped cream. I poured in 2 cups of cold whipping cream into a large bowl and began to beat it with an electric mixer and gradually added a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar until it formed stiff peaks. Then at the very end, I splashed in about a teaspoon of vanilla extract and folded that in. Then I went to the extra length of putting it into a piping bag so I can pipe little rosettes on top of this so we can place our Christmas cookies. So the recipe called for 2 cups of whipped cream and it made this much. And it's way too much for this, so I would have that. Just use 1 cup of whipping cream and a couple tablespoons of sugar. Because I guess we're having hot chocolate. What am I gonna do with all this whipped cream? Alrighty, anyways, here are my pre-baked cookies. I have 8 of them, so I'm going to make 8 little rosettes for them to sit on. This is a number 1 M tip, I believe. Cake decorators, I'm sure you will correct me if it's not. Alrighty, so make sure I'm doing my maths correctly. So if I do 4, okay. So I'm gonna do this in quadrants. Doing north, south, east, and west. And then I'm gonna do northwest, southeast, northeast, and southwest. Cute. It's already cute already. Look at that. Look how beautiful that is. That's just sweetened whipped cream. Boom. I almost hate to cover them up. Of course, you can skip this entire step and you can just do dollops if you like. That's perfectly a-okay. Now we're going to take our little cookies and place them right on the top so we can remember what is at the base of this cheesecake. Oh, makes it instantly festive. Cute. Oh my goodness, so stinking cute. Very happy with that. Dun, da, 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 the Christmas cheesecake. Ding, 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 ding. All right, let me take a few pictures. Alrighty, my lovelies, I couldn't help myself. I had to add some more whipped cream to the middle because I had some, and it just felt a little empty. So it looks a little bit more like a cake rather than a traditional cheesecake, but there's nothing really traditional about this at all. And I think it looks even extra festive, doesn't it? With that little swirl of extra whipped cream in the middle and the little tiny piped rosettes around. I mean, yay. Alrighty, let's give it a taste. So this is portioned out for 8 very generous servings. So let's go ahead and cut into it. So I do like the fact that this cheesecake recipe is a no-bake. Well, besides baking the crust, the filling is no-bake, so you don't have to worry about any kind of cracking. Traditional New York style cheesecake requires baking. And with that, you often get a cracked cheesecake. Sometimes you can avoid that by cooking the cheesecake in a water bath or a bain-marie, but this recipe you can avoid that entirely because there's no baking of the filling. Okay, get underneath the cake. See if we can pull this wedge out in one nice piece. The first one's always tricky. All right, we got it. Yeah, look. There it is. Do 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 do. Look at that. Cheesecake with a cookie. Let's give this a taste. You can see the bottom cookie crust, the filling, whipped cream on top. Alrighty, my lovelies, happy holidays. Itadakimasu. Definitely taste the sugar cookie base, which is quite sweet, but what I really like is the lightness of the filling. In terms of flavor profile, it has a traditional New York style cheesecake flavor. You can definitely taste the cream cheese, kind of tangy, creamy. But the addition of whipped cream makes it much lighter, super light, almost more like a mousse rather than a cheesecake in my opinion. It doesn't have that kind of density, but it definitely has the flavor. And it's not overly sweet. The cheesecake base though is quite sweet. And a little doughy. I baked it for 12 minutes. And it's got a little bit of a sugar cookie doughy-ness to it. Perhaps I could have spaced the cookies out farther apart to expand during baking because while they did look quite small, they did spread out. And I noticed that when I cooked the cookies separately for the topping, that they did spread quite a bit. So maybe placing them closer together. But in the photographs provided in the original recipe, there were 6 cookies going all the way down. So that's what I did in my pan as well. And it seemed to fit very snugly. So something to consider. So it tastes delicious. I really appreciate that it doesn't have too much sugar, but I would like it to be a little bit more denser so it feels a little bit more like a cheesecake. This feels more like a cheesecake mousse, but still quite tasty. The cookie base is novel and very, very cute before you top it with all of the cheesecake. Now you can't see it, but super fun to kind of arrange and see all perfectly lined up. This is a very easy recipe for a cheesecake. I like that you can do this all in advance and store it in your freezer in preparation for your party or event. And the results are pretty stinking cute. Oh, One thing you cannot do in advance would be the whipped cream part. I would do that the day of your party. You could bake the cookies in advance, but don't whip the whipped cream and then put it in your refrigerator and expect it to stay like this. It'll probably fall by the next day. So, can't do the entire thing in advance, but a good portion of it. All right, my lovelies, happy holidays. I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media, like this video, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Toodaloo, take care, bye! All right, one more bite, and then you have to step away from the cake. Oops. I forgot to try the sugar cookie. Pretty standard bakery style sugar cookie, sweet, vanilla, and kind of buttery, more margarine, but I do like the texture. A little bit chewy and soft. Might need some cheesecake with that. Stop.